Hey guys, my name is Jenn Carrasco. I am a serial entrepreneur, founder of many six-figure businesses. I am also a skincare creator, an IFBB pro athlete that is extremely passionate about helping entrepreneurs grow their business and, most importantly, helping you and everybody else to own their shit. Welcome to Own Your Shit, the podcast. This is the show where we stop the comparison cycle, we eliminate the need for a secret sauce, and realize that the faster we own the way we stand in our own way, the faster and shorter the route is to creating that life we all crave. So, with that being said, now let's own your own shit. Hey guys, welcome back to Own Your Shit with Jenn Carrasco. I have an amazing speaker here today. And before we go there, I just want to say, please like, review, share, get my shit out so then we can help other people to own their shit and do what they need to do to progress in this life and help other people. So with that said, I want to introduce my brother, my Apex coach brother with me as well, Mike. And I'm going to let Mike do his spiel to open up and talk about what he does. And then we actually have a lot to discuss today. So go for it.
Thank you. Thank you, Mike, Claudio. But let's be honest, you want ratings and reviews because you like seeing your ratings and reviews go up. It's not like, let's just be honest. I do the same thing on my podcast. It's cool. But understand, like we've both been podcasting for a while. My podcast is the Big Stud Podcast. I'm on episode like 130 or 140, something like that. The ratings and reviews just show that the effort's worth it, because it's hard showing up every week with multiple businesses, multiple things, like trying to get good guests, trying to be prepared. Like I just showed you my calendar. I've had 80 hours of meetings this week. It's Friday at 5:00 and we're here creating killer fucking content for an audience. All we ask for is a rating and review. I don't want your money. I don't want your attention. I just want a little bit, take the 60 to 90 seconds, because it helps like fulfill us as content creators to keep going.
Yeah.
And because this is not easy. It's not always fun, yada, 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 yada.
And people will listen, like they like it and they listen, but nobody takes the initiative to do the extra steps in life. But you know what? That's majority of people in life.
But I've been saying this for a while. C players make it a lot easier to look like an A player.
Amen.
And so like, I don't want everybody to work as hard as I do, because then I have to work even harder to separate myself. So you C players just keep playing your role, and us A players will keep playing ours. But not to sound like a dick, but I think that's just the reality of it.
You're not a dick by any means. That's why we get along.
All right. So Mike, Claudio, I own WinRate Consulting. It's a business coaching leadership company. EC Grading is a residential demolition and grading company. And then at Champion Shoes is the nonprofit my wife and I started last year to give name brand shoes to children of need throughout the country. You know, our motto is we want to create champions one pair of shoes at a time. You can find me on Instagram at WinRate Consulting. My podcast is the Big Stud Podcast. Ultimately, I've been in sales and leadership, now helping sales and leadership, really just across the board for the last 17 years. I've coached over 150 companies in the last 2 years, mostly in the construction industry. I mostly help service companies. It's a passion for me. Like I literally have 30 to 40 coaching calls a week, and it just fulfills me. I love it. I would do it for free, but I don't. I'm not cheap because I get results, and you know how that goes, right? I wasn't always that way. Like when I started, it was like, what would you pay me to do this? I'll take that. Cool. And then now it's like I get an appreciation for the value I bring, because, you know, at this point, like I have dozens of success stories where companies grew multiple hundreds of % year over year. And like, there's a cost to that.
Yep.
And it's fun. I love it, but that's what I do. So been in Apex now for a couple of years, Apex executive coach at this point, alongside you. I've been in Arte for the last couple of years as well. You know, really been on my own personal development journey, so I can stay just a little bit ahead of everybody else so that I can pour back into them. But it's been a great great journey. The last couple of years have been massive for me, and mindset and visualizing what success looks like for me. And, the discipline factor for me is off the charts. And like, I'm happy to say that because everybody else says it for me. But like, I'm just locked in right now.
Yeah. The one thing that I like about you, I feel like you make people own their shit. And that's the one thing that I really, really dig is that there's no BS.
Yeah. I mean, it's when you own your own shit and you set a certain expectation for yourself, it's very difficult to accept it of the people around you.
Absolutely.
Right. But it goes the other route. If you're willing to accept a low expectation of yourself, it's very easy to accept the low expectation of the people around you. I see this with business owners all the time. They don't take their own shit seriously, but then they're mad that no one around them does. And I'm like, I'm sorry, did you forget the role you play here? You are the influencer of your business. You are the guiding force. You are the guiding light. The way you operate gives everybody else permission to operate the same way.
Amen. You're the leader.
And so for me, like, because I own my shit at like a level that most people never will, I'm okay calling you on your shit because I know what it looks like. Because I've been on the other side. Like, I've been 320 pounds. I've been broke. I've been miserable. I've been alone. I've been in the darkness. And if you've read my book, I've had some pretty shitty things, right? But that's how I learned the power of owning my shit and doing it for me, and the difference between all in on you, me as a person, and partially in based on what everybody around you thinks. Like, there's a difference. And when you go all in on you, I don't mind calling people on their shit because I really don't care what you think about me after I do.
Mm-hmm.
Like, if I needed you, Jessica, to like me because I don't like me, well, I don't want to hurt your feelings.
Yeah.
So it's easier to like call people on their shit when you're owning yours.
So I have a question for you.
What
questions. Was your breaking moment in your life that you felt made you own your shit? And it could have been like, I'm not happy where I'm at. I don't like my freaking business I'm doing. Or, I mean, it could be whatever you want it was, whatever it is that is stuck in your head.
Oh, all right. December 2019, I attempted suicide. And there's a long story behind it. Like, I think I was on Oxy post a hernia surgery that I think kind of let the floor drop out. But it was just like I was on the floor. So the floor dropping out was pretty close. But really, it wasn't so much that. I think that was God's work in a way, because, and we'll just say that was God's work. Like, it wasn't pretty. But what that led to was me going to like some of the most important people in my life and saying, I need you right now. I'm empty. I need you to pour into me. I don't know if I can survive this. And no one stood up and took action. And that was if I'm going to survive this, because there were some sketchy moments over that like 8 to 10 week period after that, I have to go all in on me at all costs, because I need to win every decision. Like, Win Fast, Win Often is about winning every decision, like the little things every day, to pull me out of it and start to look for things that made me feel better. And like, I don't care if people know or like what I'm doing. I need to do this to survive.
Yeah.
And as unfortunate as that is, like, I really think that happened for me so that I could realize how powerful I can be on my own. And so that allowed me to make decisions with a lot less bias, with a lot less external influence, with a lot less fear of repercussions, because I was doing it to survive.
Yeah.
And I realized how strong and powerful and important, and I believe I went through that for a reason. And I believe I learned that like I am impactful beyond belief, and like my mission, there's a reason I'm here. And it allowed me to go all in on like owning my shit.
Yeah. A lot of us have that pivotal moment. And so my thing to you is that And a lot of people are, I feel like, are dealing with this right now. So it's very, very apparent that we nail this down is when you're at that moment and nobody's around and you come to the conclusion it's you having to do the work yourself. How did you feel? How did you overcome that? And what was your relationships with those people after it happened?
So if you follow me for any period of time, like I'm not sure who your audience is, but I assume some of them have, like, win fast, win often is the tagline for my business. It's literally tattooed on my arm. But like that is a mindset, a mantra for like minimizing and simplifying the mission. When you're in the darkest, deepest, most uncertain, I didn't know if I was enough, but like all I could focus on was winning the next decision. Like, don't jump in front of that car. Like, and it sounds crazy saying it now because of who I am right now, but it was like, win that decision. That's all you can focus on. Win that decision. Don't drink that drink. Don't eat that thing. Don't like win the decision.
Yeah.
And so my mindset was like survive the next minute. And that's progressively now it turned into win the next minute. And then it was champion the next minute. And because now I look at it as like, this is my 9th or 10th hour of calls today, but it's not your fault that I got to win this call.
Yeah.
I got to win this. I got to be prepared for this, which means I couldn't drink last night. I had to get up this morning and win the decision to get up and read and work out and meditate and drink enough water and be prepared and manage my food intake today so that I could like manage all of it. So winning it, right? So that was what got me out, right? So it was like, how I just got to win one little step at a time.
And that's with business too. A lot of people need to realize that.
Yeah, it's life.
Little by little, you'll get there. But go ahead.
And then so I had to accept that those people would never understand. And their opinions and their feelings were no longer my responsibility to carry.
Absolutely.
And so it's freeing to an extent, but then like I still deal with like I wish that it was better. I wish that this, but like they're the people that I would sacrifice anything for. And I literally asked for it and they couldn't. And I think part of it is some people fight or flight. I think the people I asked were somewhat emotionally unprepared to like play the role I was placing on them, which was frustrating, but like looking at it now, looking back, it's like, I can understand to an extent not being prepared to be asked to carry that burden for me. But I also am like, you could have read a book, you could have watched a video, you could have asked a friend, you could have like done something, you could have tried something. And so I think it was easy for me to say like, okay, I'm moving on and you're still at this level and I'm going to move up to this level. And it's okay that you're not coming with me. And I don't care if you like that or don't like that. And so be it.
Yeah. Yeah. No, great. Thank you for sharing that. So I do want to go in a little bit on Champion Shoes. Can you explain how you decided to just formulate that one day?
Oh, this is great. It's like one of my favorite stories, I think, of my life. So at the end of every year, Tiffany and I, my wife, for almost as long as we've been married, which is almost 10 years, at the end of every year, we do what we call the balancing of our blessings, where we look at like, what can we give back? Like early on in our marriage, it was volunteer time because we ain't had no money. And right. And then we started volunteering. We started like, this year, let's go buy 100 canned food items and donate that. Or it was like, we wanted to like stretch ourselves as much as our comfort level would allow it. And so last year, we were talking, it was like September, October timeframe about like, what are we going to do this year? And my MJ at that time was 4 going on 5. And I was like, I want to get the kids involved this year because like writing a check is not going to be as impactful to them. And so I want to get them involved in it. So we were on a family walk one night and I asked MJ, I was like, MJ, we want to give back in a meaningful way this year. Like, what do you love right now? What would you want to give away? And like, like a 5-year-old that's like, whatever is like closest in front of his face. He's like, I love my shoes. I love my new shoes. And I was like, wouldn't it be so cool if dad and you and Everett and mommy went and bought 100 pair of shoes and gave it to people in need?
Yeah.
because we've been working with him on giving back a lot. Like when you buy something, like he's got to give away 3 things. Like that's kind of our rule. And so he'll come out of his playroom like sometimes like, hey, Dad, can we give these away so I can get something new? And I'm like, you get it, but you're not all the way there. But like for a 5-year-old to say, let's give some stuff away is cool, right? And so I was going to spend $5,000 was my budget. I was going to say, I'm $50 a pair. I'm going to go buy 100 pairs of shoes. I don't know who I'm going to give them to, but I'm going to do it. That's what we're going to do this year. And then I was driving home from the gym one day, and which is like my typical like thinking time. And I was like, this doesn't match my brand. Like, why am I limiting it to 1 year? And why am I limiting it to 100 pairs? Like, that's not how Mike, Claudio, or WinRate, that's not what we represent. So I got home and I Googled how to start a nonprofit, and I just followed the steps.
Nice.
And like filled out the paperwork, submitted it. It took about 6 weeks to go through the process. And then we launched like Black Friday last year, in between Thanksgiving and Christmas. We raised like $35,000 and sent out like 400 pairs of shoes.
Nice. Well, I'm going to hit you up because I'm thinking about doing that for tattoo removal for sex trafficking victims. So my company gives back 10% for all of that. But I coach and train people on how to do that. And so I want to take those girls and actually go do the service for people. And so that they can give back. So I'll hit you up next time.
Yeah, it was cool. And but like I think the real message there was there's a lot of people that want to make an impact that either don't have the time or are unwilling to do the work. And when you do the work, people come out of the woodwork to support it.
Yeah.
We did a back to school push, and in 6 weeks, I bought 1,300 pairs of shoes wrapped and delivered.
That's awesome.
Like that's a lot of kids.
Yeah.
And like it's a process, and we're learning. I've hired employees for that business now. I just leased a commercial space to make the process easier.
But especially right now, that's really, really important. I really think right now is crucial, and it's going to keep growing. So.
Well, and it's cool to see it work, because it's just like an idea we had last year, and now like Tiffany quit her corporate job and she's executive director of that, and she helps with WinRate, and
that's
it's cool. It's cool to see it work. And I think so many people overestimate what it actually takes to do something. And I don't know anything about running a nonprofit, nothing. But like Google's a really powerful tool. If you guys haven't heard about it, if you could stop DMing me silly questions and just Google it, that would make everybody's life a lot easier, because I wouldn't have to cuss you out at 10 o'clock on a Saturday night where you're DMing me about like, hey, do you have any videos for this? Like, Google it.
I'm with you wholeheartedly. If it's going to be a stupid question that you think possibly you're going to ask somebody, you should probably try to Google it first. And if Google doesn't know, then you ask the person. Just food for thought.
Yeah, that's just, yeah.
Shit.
But no, and it's been cool to like, and it worked. We got the kids involved. So MJ and Everett love going like shoe shopping. They like stuffing the shoes with the socks. They like helping with the wrapping process. They like helping with the deliveries. And like my 5-year-old goes into stores saying like, can we buy something for somebody else today? He still have his selfish dickhead moments, but like he's 5 and he wants to give back to people. And that's like, I'm proud of that.
So let's talk about your consulting business. Give me the lowdown about it. What do you like to do? How do you organize it? Do you have groups? Do you have just a mastermind? Do you have personal?
I've just toyed with it all. I've tried all types of things, right? I primarily work with leaders on mindset, communication, like kind of the more I've coached, the more I've like kind of turned into a therapist.
Yeah.
And I love it. I absolutely love it, because most people have everything they need inside of them. I help them uncover it and get it out. And that sounds super corny saying that's not who I wanted to be when I started this, but it's so real. And like, I let people borrow my confidence in them. I validate some of the things they want to do. I help them with like how to I'm a communication expert. That's what I am. I help people communicate at a whole new level to get desirable outcomes in their marketing, with their employees, with their customers, I help people communicate better to actually get what they want done, accomplished through accountability and training and expectation setting, all that kind of stuff. So So I have a couple different levels. Like I have a low-level mastermind called the Winning Mindset. I have the Champion Circle, which is my like mid-grade offer. And then one-on-one coaching is like what I'm committed to. Like Apex is great. Arte is great. Group is awesome. I want to be a one-on-one business coach.
Yep.
I like getting like really, really consistent and really like thorough with people. And I get to talk to my customers on a regular basis, weekly or bi-monthly or bi-weekly or whatever. And like, I get to make meaningful change, customized and tailored to them. And does that limit my earning potential? Sure. Does that slow my business growth? Sure. But I don't do it for the money. I do it for the impact I make, which is like, I have 100% money back guarantee on every contract that goes out.
Mm-hmm.
If you don't get what you want from me in the time frame that we commit to getting there, I will give you all of your money back.
Yeah. Awesome.
Since day one, it's been in the contract.
Yeah.
Because when I first started, it was like, you have no reason to trust I can help you because I've never done this before. So here's a money back guarantee. Yeah. And like 150 customers later, the only people I've refunded are customers I had to fire because they weren't doing the work.
Yeah.
No one's completed the contract and asked for their money back. It's like 60% of customers renew past the initial contract period. So it's been realizing that and coming to that decision and saying like, I don't need to build an Apex.
Yeah.
Was really like, it was really important for me to come to that realization.
Yeah.
Because now I can just settle in and just like have fun.
Exactly.
I'm not in a rush.
Yeah.
And it's working. The content's working. The YouTube channel is growing. The podcast is growing. The client base is growing. The revenue is growing. But I don't need to build a $10 million company.
Yeah.
And I'm like really okay with that.
Yeah. Well, in EOS too, we don't have them pay unless they're satisfied with our quarterly meetings.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They don't pay until we're done with our meeting and they got something that they're supposed to get out of it. And I think that's actually really beneficial.
Well, I do it because like I kind of use this in my sales pitch, you might say, but it's like, that's my guarantee to you that I'll show up every call prepared and ready to bring you value. Because if I don't, you get your money back.
Absolutely.
Because I charge a retainer. I charge a monthly amount, right?
Yeah.
It helps them spread the cost out, helps me cash flow, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
So you're going to prepay for some of the value you get.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
But I want you to know that like I'm committed to showing up on a regular basis to help you. And I'm going to bring you value because if you don't get it, you're either getting an ROI or you're getting your eye back.
Yeah.
Been saying that for 3 years. Like
there you go. So I wanted to talk about you and I kind of talked yesterday a little bit.
We did.
So I wanted to push this out there for leaders and people that own companies and businesses that, Mike here is wanting to step up and come out and really help your team members, like motivate them, get them organized, structure, talk. I mean, you can take that over from here. I'm not going to speak for you, but
yeah. Well, what I asked you, because like you have an electrical company that's growing and
Yep.
you guys are headed in a really good direction, right? Now, the question that I asked you yesterday was like, do you ever bring in outside speakers to talk to your team? Because I'm like, here's somebody I trust. Here's somebody that I know that like we have a very similar growth mindset. And the question really was like, how do I get other people that would like bridge that? Because I love public speaking. Yeah. I love speaking on stages. But what I really like I went to Denver last week and sat down with the leadership team and like in 2 days restructured a bunch of stuff, remotivated everybody, got them communicating properly. Because most companies that are growing past that like 5 million mark, like what got you there is not going to get you forward. And there ends up being a lot of tension in leadership. There's a lot of broken processes, really bad communication, really a lot of issues with the right people in the wrong seats because like you were just wearing a lot of hats and now you try to like blend in roles. I literally went in and in 2 days restructured the entire leadership team. It worked perfectly. I helped like how they communicate, like just like what you do at EOS. It's just different.
Yeah.
But I want to help more people from like, how do you get from 5 to 20 million?
But I like what you're talking about because the reason why I say this is, so for our electrical company, we have speakers come in quarterly. So we have quarterly meetings with all of our guys. And when you bring in speakers, so for instance, I brought in my friend Rondi several months ago. Rondi talks about credit. He talks about whole life insurance. these are things that your average person doesn't get education about, right?
Yeah.
And so when your team members can actually start leveling up and getting to know more and learn more to where they can produce so much more for their family, it's almost like you're really helping the leadership team because they're more energized to come in and work for you. And that's how
We
I
take
look
for
at
granted how many little nuggets we get with all the
it.
people we
Amen.
follow and the
Yeah.
events we go to and like the growth side of it, because it's just like part of normal conversation for us to talk about like how we're preparing for the future and how we're growing and what are you capable of and pushing the
Yeah.
envelope. And most people don't have that, right?
Yeah.
And what I have the benefit of is like I have actual construction leadership experience. Like I've grown companies by multiple millions of dollars from a leadership role. Like I wasn't the owner, and I get it, but like I was number 2 in charge for 2 companies in a row, and I helped them grow substantially. So I have a lot of like real life in the trenches experience that for the last 3 years I've been coaching full time. Like now I have 150 to 160 other perspectives I've learned through by being in different environments and different size companies. And I wrap all that together. I can come in and I can tell your team what they're thinking in the first 5 minutes. And I grab their attention, I grab the influence, I grab the authority, and then I get to educate them in a way that they trust because I've been where they are. Like I've never like ran wires in an electrical company, but like I've been in those team meetings. I've been on those job sites. I've been in those production meetings when things aren't going right and communication from sales isn't accurate and your scope of work wasn't right and you're pissed off because you didn't have the right tools and material and equipment. I know what that's like. I've been in those meetings.
Yep.
So it allows me to come in and, really like speak their language. Because I've been in a lot of meetings where speakers have come in who don't understand the ecosystem they're speaking in front of, and they don't land. It doesn't land. Sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't. But like I have the benefit of having that real life experience, which makes me so excited because I can literally impact an entire company in a couple hours, a couple days, whatever it might be. And I want to do more of that on a bigger scale because I think it allows me to impact more
You will
people.
do more of that.
Yeah.
I know that.
But I mean, you speak and stuff too. I mean, like you've obviously been on stages and you've built a really big influence in your markets and your audiences. So, why do you think it's so important to bring speakers in? I mean, I get like the teaching them other things, but like if every quarter, what is the feedback you get from your team from it?
Actually, you know what? We've gotten a lot. I mean, they get really motivated. They get really energized, and it's bringing in their family. So their family gets to understand a little bit more of what we're about and what we're talking. And for me, it's building that bond, and it's building the team. When you get everybody together, you're organized, and people want to work with people they love. It's not about the money, you know? So before we end, I wanted to talk a little bit too. So you just launched a book, and I have not read it yet, but I do have it right here.
Hey, that's half the battle. You got me the analytics.
I haven't read it yet. I have to read a couple books for my boot camp coming up. So, but let's talk about it. So what got a little bug up your butt to create this amazing book?
So hashtag Too Strong is the name of the book, How to Win Fast and Win Often in a World Full of Obstacles. Obviously Apex and being an Apex coach and, representing winning and being a champion, like I wanted to have a book. There's a lot of really cool people we're friends with that have books, and I wanted one. And when I sat down to really outline it, I didn't want to write a business book, and I didn't want to just like talk about me.
Yeah.
Right. And so you haven't read it yet, so you can't understand this yet, but you will. What I wanted to do was share what I thought were some of the most impactful lessons I wish I knew 10 years ago. So have you read like any of Jocko's books?
Yep.
So like I took a very similar approach where I would tell a story about the scenario, the how I learned the lesson, and then what I did to solve it in a tactical way that people could actually implement. Because I wanted them to understand, like, I'm not just talking at you. Like, this is shit I created or I utilize or I do so that they believe that like this is real.
Yeah.
So like there's stories that I dealt with. It's vulnerability. It's, there's lessons in there about how to communicate, how to structure your time, how to figure out your health and wellness, how to set goals. Like these are things, like you said, most people have never been educated on. I've been blessed that like I failed a lot and had to come up with ways to minimize my shortcomings. So I told people about my background and like lessons and stories, because I've been, like I said, 320 pounds.
Mm-hmm.
I'm 235 right now, looking lean as shit. Like that's a lesson. And like that was a 10-year journey. And so now I get to tell you, this is what I went through, and here's how I made it happen, and here's how you can implement it in your life. So even things there about like follow through, how to actually make sure you can follow through on shit. Right? So what does that look like? Part of it's setting proper expectations. Part of it's tracking your to-do items. Like the little shit that like most of us A players take for granted. We just do it. Like we just set good expectations and we just follow through when we say we're going to do, and we follow up when we're supposed to. There's a chapter about follow through. There's a chapter about follow up. There's a chapter about communication. There's a chapter about fueling your body and your mind. Like all these little lessons that I absorbed and learned and went after to try and figure out to overcome a shortcoming in my life.
Yeah.
And one of the biggest things I get from people like coaching clients and people who meet me is I'm very relatable. Like I'm authentic. People feel like they can trust me easily. It's because I'm not afraid of my darkness anymore. Yeah. Like I'm not afraid of the failures. I'm not afraid of it. And yeah, I'm on the other side of a lot of it. So it's easy. It's easier to not be afraid of it when like you've kind of overcome it. But like putting those stories out there, I wanted people to realize that like if I can do it, like I was a 320-pound college fail out alcoholic. But people, if you've only met me in the last year, like, man, Mike's got his shit together. Bullshit. I had to solve a lot of problems to get here. A lot of them, right? Issues with substance abuse, issues with self-doubt, issues with self-talk, issues with suicidal thoughts, issues with family and issues with friends, issues with communication and issues. This is me. That book is about how to win fast and win often in a world full of obstacles, because I figured something out. My journey's not done.
Yeah.
But there are some basic foundational lessons in there that through coaching and through meeting so many people that most people have never even fucking heard about.
Yeah.
And I'm like, God, I got to get this message out because there's so many basics, like basic stuff that leads to so much extraordinary success that most people have never heard about.
Yeah.
Like most people don't know how to set goals and structure a way to get there. Most people don't know how to have discipline. Most people don't know how important follow through is. Most people don't know how important it is to network appropriately. They've never heard it.
Yep.
And like, is my book the Bible on success and winning? No, that Tim Grover wrote that. Like for me, this is my story so that you understand that if I can do it, anybody can do it. And here's the scenario. Here's the lesson I learned. Here's how I overcame it. Here's how you can implement it in your life. That's the book.
Awesome. So where can people find you?
Instagram at WinRate Consulting is like where I typically engage with people. YouTube is Mike Claudio. My podcast is the Big Stud Podcast. That's the best place. Obviously the book's on Amazon.
Yep.
Reach out. Let's talk. What's going on in your life? Let me help you. Like follow the journey, follow the content. I put out a shit ton of free content. It's everywhere. I even get obnoxious. It's obnoxious how much content I put out. I'm helping a lot of people.
You are. Absolutely. And when I post this, I will have all the links. I'll have all the shares. Cool. So then everybody can go in and find you and do all that. But I really want to thank you. Thank you for taking your time to hang with me and make people own their shit. I thoroughly appreciate you.
I appreciate that. It's been really cool to get to know you over the last year. Because you were that, like, I'll fanboy a little bit. Like you were that person that was like Arte, big deal, Apex, big deal. And like, it's been cool to like become a peer to you. Like, it's been really cool for me to like I've matured and I know that for a fact, but like seeing people like you who are crushing it on levels that I didn't even realize were there. And then now to sit next to you on a panel and pour into people, like that's a really cool accomplishment for me. And it's not taking anything from you. I'm just loving the journey I'm on right now. And because of people like you, it makes it fun.
We're all here to help each other. We're all here to make an impact and to change lives. And you know what? If you follow that and you follow your heart and that's what you want to do, you're going to do many things in this life. And I know that you're not done. Your journey, like it's going to be phenomenal to watch.
It's going to be an epic journey.
I'm glad I can watch it. So
yeah. No, I appreciate it. And I think the lesson that we're not special. We just did more work with more discipline over a longer period of time. And, the more I see people and meet people at this level, it's what we have is not unattainable to people.
No.
And so it's easy to be on stage and be on magazine covers and be just like crazy cool stories and experiences, but there's nothing that makes us different from anybody else. We don't have a special muscle. We have a special network because we went and earned the fucking right to get there. Part of that's paying to get in the front door, which most people are not willing to do, right? Arte and Apex ain't cheap.
Nope.
But there's a reason for that, because what's on the inside of that room is so incredibly valuable. Like if you can't invest in yourself, you don't deserve what that room's going to give you. So we are not unattainable. We are not unreachable.
No, many people don't really know this. And I said this in Jeff's podcast recently for Apex, or not Apex, I'm sorry, the Arte Syndicate. And this is many of other people, if you hear their story now, that are coming out and saying it. I actually took my retirement, part of my retirement, to pay for the Arte. But it led me to all of what I am now because I took that chance.
Yeah. There's a lot to be said on what's on the other side of fear.
Yeah.
A lot. That could be a whole nother podcast.
Yep. So, but
I appreciate you having me on, man. This was awesome. Appreciate you giving me an opportunity to share my story and hopefully impact some people. And I appreciate what you do.
No, thank you. I appreciate you. Again, you guys, like, rate, review, share, and have a phenomenal week. Well, guys, that's a wrap for another episode of Own Your Own Shit. Now that this is half the battle, owning your shit allows you the freedom to create something even better in your life. Getting out of your own way, it doesn't have to be lonely. Making sure to follow me for more advice. Follow me on every social media platform at Jenn Carrasco. My Instagram is Jenn Carrasco with 2 underscores. Find me on Facebook at the same name. And of course, share the episode with friends who need some help in the tough times and typically helping them to own their shit. So with that being said, see you guys next week.